ever since it first came out that he was either in blackface in his college, his medical school yearbook, or put a picture of somebody in blackface and somebody in a Klan outfit on that page. Ever since it came out, I've called for his resignation, as has pretty much everybody else on earth. And Northam has said, I'm not going anywhere. And he's holding firm to that. And now we're getting polling that shows that a majority of Virginians don't want him to leave, and a majority of black Virginians don't want him to leave. They want him to stay on the job. And, which is, I was scratching my head on this, going, what's going on? And then Trevor Noah came out and did this bit, I believe it was last night. It might have been the night before. I learned about it this morning. I read about it in the New York Times, actually, in an article in the New York Times titled, Trevor Noah says Northam's racism debt might be a good thing. Racism debt, in quotes. And, Trevor Noah makes the point that basically if you're a white guy who grew up in Virginia, or frankly most of this country, and you didn't at some point in your young life, and, Northam was 25, but whatever, say or do something insanely stupid that had to do with race, then you're really the odd man out. That this is probably true for the vast majority of white people. And, I think that's probably true. The fact that 2 out of the 3 senior officers in the Virginia government have been in blackface, and the 3rd of those 3 is a black guy, so it's not like that's an issue for him, is a clue, right? But the point that Trevor Noah is making is that, well, I'll just quote him. He says, "Let me tell you, white guilt can be very useful, my friends. Black people in Virginia can ask Governor Northam for anything now. Better schools, criminal justice reform, a holiday for Beyonce's birthday. A black person in Virginia could ask Northam to pick him up from the airport, and he'd be like, I'll be there in 15 minutes. That's kind of the funny take on it. But the more serious take on it that he's laying out is basically, you now know who Ralph Northam is. And presumably, I guess the debate for Virginians is, has he genuinely had a come-to-Jesus moment? Or did he 10 or 20 or 30 years ago? Well, I guess this was 25 years ago, so 20 years ago. But the larger issue, I think, that Trevor Noah here is talking about, and that he explicitly, comes right out and says, is that here he is. He says, to black people, especially in Virginia, every white guy serving in office has probably done some racist stuff. So you might as well have a white guy who's already been caught and feels bad about it, because you know that guy's never going to mess up again. Well, it's interesting. I am still broadly of the opinion that Northam should resign. Obviously, the other variable that's been thrown into this, well, there's 2. One is that Republicans are caught in this kind of stuff all the time. The Republican, here's the weird thing. Justin Fairfax, who's the lieutenant governor, he's the lieutenant governor, who's the African American of the 3 Democrats who lead the government in Virginia. If Northam steps down, he becomes governor. If Fairfax steps down, then the AG becomes governor. The AG was in blackface. If he steps down, then the Speaker of the House, who is a Republican, the Republicans control the House of Representatives or House of Delegates or whatever it's called in Virginia, the Speaker of that body picks the next governor. So you get a Republican governor, which is, of course, why the Republicans are pounding on this so hard. And at the same time that they're loudly screaming, hey, 2 credible allegations against Justin Fairfax, he needs to go. These are the same people who are saying, well, yeah, 22 women have come forward and said that Donald Trump sexually assaulted them, but so what? Right? I mean, we even know who he paid off. So what? So there's some serious hypocrisy at work here. And anyhow, I just tossed that out. And and see what your thoughts are on all this. The other thing that I thought was worth pointing out is that, and Seth Abramson is going off on this on Twitter in a really, really big way. His tweet from today, he basically taking on the media. And not just Seth. I mean, there's a bunch of people who are talking about this, that the media is saying, well, there's no direct connection that we've been able to find so far between the Trump campaign and Russia. But there's hundreds of indirect connections. And not just Russia, by the way. You know, Saudi Arabia, Israel. There may be other countries. Turkey may be involved. And Trump obviously has financial entanglements. He's got a Trump hotel in the Philippines, and he's buddying up to a murderous dictator there. He's got, you know, Trump towers all over the country, all over the world. So there's that. So there's really a lot on our plate today with regard to all this. And meanwhile, the Green New Deal, by the way, is moving forward. And that, it's not, just so you know, this is just one of those, you know, the Green New Deal that has been put forward before Congress now by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and colleagues, 60 members of the House, 9 senators. This is not actually legislation. This is a resolution that says we would like legislation. And we would like, this is just a 6-page resolution, and it says we would like that legislation to, and I'm quoting from the resolution itself, to promote justice and equality or equity by stopping current, preventing future, and repairing historic oppression of indigenous peoples, communities of color, migrant communities, deindustrialized communities, depopulated rural communities, the poor, low-income workers, women, the elder, the unhoused, people with disabilities, and youth. And one of the ways to get there is to put millions and millions of people to work solarizing and windizing the United States of America, building out an infrastructure for this country that will replace our fossil fuel infrastructure. Because, you know, we've been on this fossil fuel economy since the late 1800s, and in a big way since the first decades of the 1900s of the 20th century. And, you know, it's time to move ahead.